Someone get that child back to the visitors gallery. This is a symposium, not a daycare. Dr. Lawrence Whitfield waves his hand like he is shooing away a fly. He does not even look at the small black boy standing at the microphone. Did no one check credentials at the door? This forum is for serious researchers, not children playing mathematicians. A few people in the audience laugh. The boy's papers slip from his hands and scatter across the stage. I'm sorry, sir. I have a presentation scheduled, number 47. His voice shakes. Quiet, polite, the kind of voice that has learned to make itself smaller. Presentation? From Booker T. Washington Elementary? Whitfield squints at his tablet. Is this some kind of outreach program? More laughter now. The boy's face burns. What none of them know is that this terrified 10-year-old has just done something impossible, something no mathematician on Earth has managed in 30 years. His name is Elijah Brooks, 10 years old. Thick glasses that slide down his nose, a button-up shirt 2 sizes too big, borrowed from his cousin for today. Right now, he wants to disappear. The annual New England Youth Mathematics Symposium. Boston Convention Center. 3 days of presentations where the brightest young minds showcase their work. Except the bright young minds here all have a certain look, a certain background. Phillips Exeter Academy, Milton Academy, Boston Latin School, the kind of schools with Olympic-sized swimming pools and robotics labs that cost more than Elijah's entire school building. Elijah goes to Booker T. Washington Elementary in Roxbury. No advanced math program, no competition math team, just library books and YouTube videos and a notebook he bought with his own birthday money. Dr. Lawrence Whitfield sits at the judge's table like a king on a throne. 58 years old. Tenured professor at MIT, department head. His signature is worth millions in research grants. One word from him can launch a career or end it before it starts. He has decided Elijah does not belong here. And he is not the only one. Excuse me, son. Are you lost? That was the security guard at the entrance, 3 different times. Each time, Elijah showed his registration badge. Each time, the guard looked surprised, skeptical. In the bathroom, 2 boys from Phillips Exeter stood at the sinks in their tailored blazers. Did you see that kid in the waiting room? What's he even doing here? Probably some diversity thing. You know how they are now. They did not bother to lower their voices. Elijah stayed in the stall until they left. The symposium runs on an unspoken hierarchy. At the top, students from families where both parents have PhDs, where dinner conversation includes words like topology and eigenvalues, where summer means math camps at Stanford or MIT, not watching your little sister while your mom works double shifts. Elijah is presenting on the Hartwell conjecture, a problem that has haunted mathematicians since 1987. Dr. James Hartwell, a British mathematician, asked a simple question about coloring infinite graphs. Can you color any planar graph with 4 colors so that no 2 connected regions share the same color even when the graph extends infinitely? It sounds simple. It is not. For 38 years, hundreds of mathematicians have tried to solve it. Doctoral students have built entire dissertations around failed attempts. Tenured professors have published papers proposing solutions, only to have them torn apart by peer review. The Hartwell conjecture sits in that special category of problems that are easy to understand but impossible to solve. Dr. Whitfield himself has spent 3 decades chasing it, 7 published papers, dozens of conference presentations, millions in research funding. He has not solved it either. Elijah does not know this yet, but 6 months ago, he found something. A pattern. A way of looking at the problem that no one else had tried. He spent his lunch periods in the library, filling page after page with colored pencil drawings of graphs. Testing. Checking. Following the logic wherever it led. He thought he found an interesting observation. Something worth sharing. He had no idea he had actually solved it. Back in Roxbury, 40 people crowd around a projection screen at the community math center. Kids from the neighborhood. Parents who took off work. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, who runs the center and who convinced Elijah to submit his work to the symposium in the first place. She sits in the front row, hands clasped tight. On the screen, they watch Elijah standing frozen on that stage while Whitfield dismisses him like trash. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, tugs on Dr. Okonkwo's sleeve. Why is that man being mean to Elijah? Dr. Okonkwo does not have a good answer. Not one 7-year-old would understand. Not one that would not break something inside that little girl's hope. Sometimes people make mistakes about other people, she says quietly. But Elijah is about to show them how wrong they are. She hopes she is right. She hopes they give him the chance. Back on that stage, Elijah bends down to gather his scattered papers. His hands shake so badly he drops them twice. 800 people watch him scramble on his knees. Some look uncomfortable. Most look away. Dr. Whitfield checks his watch, sighs like this is all a waste of his valuable time. What none of them understand yet is that the next 5 minutes will change everything. Elijah finally gathers his papers, stands. His legs feel like water. Young man, Whitfield's voice cuts through the murmurs. This forum is for original mathematical research. Do you understand what that means? Yes, sir. Elijah's voice is barely audible. I have observations on the Hartwell conjecture. The one about planar graph colorings. The room goes still. Several judges lean forward. The Hartwell conjecture is legendary in mathematics, unsolved for nearly 4 decades, the kind of problem that makes careers or breaks them. Whitfield's smile does not reach his eyes. The Hartwell conjecture, I see. He exchanges glances with the judge beside him. Son, doctoral students have attempted that problem. Tenured professors at the world's best universities have failed at it. Are you telling me you've solved it? He makes air quotes around the word solved. A few people in the audience laugh. I don't know if I solved it, sir. I just found a pattern. Something maybe nobody saw before. The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. A pattern I didn't see. Whitfield leans back in his chair. How interesting. He pauses, lets the silence stretch. Lets everyone absorb the absurdity of this claim. A child from an unknown school, claiming to see something that the greatest mathematical minds missed for 40 years. Tell you what, before we waste everyone's time, let's do a little warm-up. Simple problem. He stands, walks to the digital board behind the judge's table, writes with sharp, precise strokes. A sequence begins. 2, 6, 12, 20, 30. What's the formula for the nth term and why? It is a trap. Everyone in the room knows it. The problem is simple for any competition math student. N squared plus n. But Whitfield is not testing Elijah's math skills. He is testing whether Elijah belongs in this room at all. The audience waits. Some pull out phones. This is getting uncomfortable. A few people shift in their seats. In Roxbury, Dr. Okonkwo leans toward the screen. Come on, baby. Show them. Elijah stares at the board. His mind races. He knows the answer. That part is easy. But something else catches his attention. The nth term is n times n plus 1, he says quietly. It's the product of consecutive integers. Correct. Whitfield sounds almost disappointed. Now, if we could move on to... But that's not the interesting part, sir. Whitfield stops. Turns. Oh? The interesting part is that your sequence is wrong. You could hear a pin drop. Excuse me? Whitfield's voice has an edge now. You wrote 2, 6, 12, 20, 30 on the board. But look at the projection screen behind you. Every head turns. The screen mirrors the digital board, but something is off. Due to a glitch in the mirroring software, one number appears twice. The sequence on screen reads 2, 6, 12, 20, 20, 30. If your sequence actually has 20 twice, then the formula breaks down, which means either there's a transcription error or you meant a different problem. Elijah adjusts his glasses. His voice is still quiet, but steadier now. In mathematics, we're supposed to verify our assumptions first. That's what you taught in your 2018 paper on axiomatic systems. I read it. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then, from the back of the auditorium, someone laughs. Not at Elijah. At the situation. At the fact that a 10-year-old just corrected Dr. Lawrence Whitfield using Whitfield's own methodology. In Roxbury, the community center erupts. Kids jump out of their seats screaming. Dr. Okonkwo covers her mouth with both hands, tears already forming. On stage, Whitfield stares at the screen. His face has gone pale. He just got fact-checked by a child he tried to humiliate, and everyone saw it. Whitfield recovers quickly. You do not become a department head at MIT without learning how to handle embarrassment. Well, his smile is tight. Congratulations on your reading comprehension. Now, your actual presentation. You have 5 minutes. Elijah's hands shake as he connects his flash drive to the presentation system. What appears on screen makes several audience members blink in confusion. Hand-drawn graphs, colored pencils, uneven handwriting. It looks like a child's homework assignment, because it is. Dr. Whitfield, your conjecture asks if every planar graph can be colored with 4 colors. The rule is that no 2 regions sharing an edge can have the same color. And this has to work, even when the graph extends infinitely. Elijah's voice is soft but clear. He has practiced this part 100 times in front of his bathroom mirror. Dr. Hartwell first asked this question in 1987. Since then, hundreds of mathematicians have tried to solve it. Nobody has succeeded. He clicks to the next slide, a simple animation showing finite graphs versus infinite ones. The 4-color theorem works for finite graphs. We know that for sure, but the infinite case is where everyone gets stuck. Whitfield leans forward slightly. Despite himself, he is curious. I think everyone got stuck because they were looking at it like a graph problem. But what if it's actually a tiling problem? Elijah clicks again. His slide shows a bathroom floor, tiles extending in a pattern. Simple, visual, something anyone can understand. If you think about coloring graphs, it feels impossible. But if you think about tiling a floor that goes on forever, you start to see patterns. When you tile infinitely, patterns repeat, like wallpaper. He clicks through several examples. Each one shows a different repeating pattern. Dr. Hartwell's question asks if coloring works for every possible infinite arrangement. But that's like asking what the biggest number is. There is no answer because the question itself has a problem. A judge in the back sits up straight. Dr. Patricia Ruiz from Stanford. She sees where this is going. But if you add one rule, one constraint, the problem becomes solvable. If you only look at periodic tilings that repeat in a pattern, then 4 colors always work. And I can prove why. Whitfield's jaw tightens. Wait. You're saying the conjecture as originally stated is ill-posed? I think so, yes, sir. The question is too broad to answer, but with the periodicity condition added, then I can show 4 colors that always work. I have proof. The room erupts in whispers. Judges lean toward each other. Audience members who are mathematicians pull out tablets, already trying to check Elijah's logic. In Roxbury, Dr. Okonkwo grips the armrest of her chair so hard her knuckles turn white. "That's my boy," she whispers. "That's my boy." But Whitfield is not done. Interesting, truly. He stands, walks to the board. But you're making a classical student error. You're confusing sufficiency with necessity. Just because periodic tilings work doesn't mean the general case is impossible. He draws quickly. A complex graph with dozens of nodes and edges. His hand moves with the confidence of someone who has done this 10,000 times. Here, this infinite graph is non-periodic. By your logic, it should fail the four-color test. But watch. He begins coloring the graph. Blue, red, yellow, green. His movements are precise, practiced. He is showing off now, demonstrating his expertise in front of the audience. You see? 4 colors, non-periodic graph. Your argument collapses. Several people nod. It looks like Elijah's presentation just fell apart. Elijah stares at the board. His face goes pale. 800 people watch him. 50,000 more on the live stream, all waiting to see him break. This is the moment where most kids would give up, would apologize, would slink off stage and never try again. The silence stretches. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Then Elijah speaks, so quietly that people in the back lean forward to hear. Dr. Whitfield, can you zoom in on the top right corner of your graph? Whitfield's hand freezes. Why? Because you made the same mistake I made in my first draft. Node 47 and node 52. They're both colored blue, and they share an edge. Your counterexample is wrong. The room explodes. Judges rush to the screen. Whitfield zooms in with shaking hands. And there it is, clear as day. 2 adjacent nodes, both blue, connected by an edge. Elijah is right. Dr. Samuel Brooks from Harvard stands up to get a better look. He is a black professor, one of only a handful in the top mathematics departments. He knows exactly what it costs to be right in rooms like this. He's correct, Brooks says loudly. Nodes 47 and 52, same color, adjacent. The counterexample fails. Whitfield stares at the screen like it betrayed him. His face cycles through confusion, then realization, then something close to panic. That's a drafting error. I drew this too quickly. I know, sir. Elijah's voice is gentle. That's why I use colored pencils, so I can check my work. He holds up his notebook. Pages and pages of hand-drawn graphs. Each one is carefully colored, each one checked and rechecked. Dr. Ruiz stands now. Elijah, how many nodes were in Dr. Whitfield's graph? 63. And you spotted the error without zooming in. Yes, ma'am. I have good eyes. He adjusts his thick glasses. A few people laugh. Not at him. With him. The tension breaks just slightly. But what just happened is not funny. Elijah Brooks, 10 years old, just held a graph of 63 nodes in his head, analyzed it in real time, found a single error among hundreds of possible connections. That is not normal. That is savant-level spatial reasoning, the kind of talent that comes along once in a generation. Whitfield is no longer in control of this room. The question is no longer whether Elijah belongs here. The question now is something far more dangerous. What if this child is right? What if he actually solved it? This is highly irregular. Whitfield's voice cuts through the murmurs. So is publicly humiliating a child before he's even spoken. The words come from Dr. Ruiz, sharp, clear, loud enough for everyone to hear. The audience gasps. You do not talk to Lawrence Whitfield like that. Not if you want your research funded, not if you want your papers published. But Ruiz is tenured at Stanford. She does not need Whitfield's approval anymore. Elijah. The symposium director, Dr. Helen Park, stands. She is 60-something, gray hair pulled back tight, the kind of woman who does not waste words. Can you submit your notebook to the judges' panel? Elijah walks forward, hands over his notebook like he is handing over a piece of his soul, because in a way, he is. 6 months of work, every lunch period, every weekend, all of it in those pages. We're going to take a 15-minute recess while the judges review your proof. Please wait in the green room. Elijah nods, walks off stage on legs that barely hold him up. The moment he disappears backstage, the auditorium erupts. Everyone is talking at once. Phones out. People pulling up the live stream to re-watch what just happened. In Roxbury, the community center is chaos. Kids screaming, adults crying. Someone starts a chant. Elijah, Elijah, Elijah. In the judge's chamber, 5 professors huddle around a 10-year-old's notebook. Whitfield stands apart, arms crossed, staring out the window like he can will this situation away. Line 38, page 4. Dr. Brooks from Harvard runs his finger along Elijah's handwriting. He's using a non-standard notation for chromatic polynomials. Whitfield moves closer, sees an opening. See? Amateur work. He doesn't even know the proper... I wasn't finished. Brooks does not look up. It's non-standard because it's more efficient. He just reinvented Tute's notation from first principles. This child doesn't know he's using graduate-level tools because he invented them himself. Silence in the room now. Just the sound of pages turning. Page 7. Dr. Ruiz traces a line of reasoning. The periodicity lemma here. Lawrence, this builds directly on Hartwell's original framework. He's extending 40-year-old research. That doesn't mean the proof is... Page 11. Brooks flips ahead. His voice is quiet now. Careful. Every step checks out. The logic holds. The proof is valid. No one speaks. Outside, 15 minutes tick by. Inside this room, 5 of the world's leading mathematicians stare at a child's colored pencil drawings and realize they are looking at something extraordinary. So the conjecture is solved? Dr. Park asks. The original conjecture, as Hartwell stated, is ill-posed. Elijah proved that definitively. But the modified version with the periodicity constraint? Ruiz closes the notebook gently. Yes, solved. Whitfield's voice shakes when he speaks. We need peer review. External validation. This is a child with a notebook. We cannot simply... Lawrence. Brooks turns to face him. They have known each other for 30 years. Brooks was Whitfield's teaching assistant once, back when they were both young and hungry and believed mathematics was pure. The math doesn't care that he's a child. You taught me that, remember? Whitfield has no answer. What can he say? That he does not want it to be true? That he spent 30 years chasing this problem, and a 10-year-old from Roxbury beat him to it? They return to the auditorium. The crowd falls silent instantly. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Park's voice echoes. After review, the judges panel has determined that Elijah Brooks's proof requires further examination by external experts. However, our preliminary assessment suggests the work is highly credible. Applause starts, builds. People are standing now. Whitfield sits motionless in his chair. Due to the significance of this development, we are invoking Rule 47 of the Symposium Charter. The rule appears on the screen behind her. In cases of exceptional discovery, the presenter may be invited to defend their work in front of the full academic assembly. Elijah, would you be willing to present your proof in detail tomorrow morning, with questions and answer from the full conference faculty? In the green room, Elijah watches on a monitor. His face drains of color. Tomorrow is the professional track, real mathematicians, doctoral candidates, postdocs, not students. If he says yes, he will stand in front of 600 experts and defend his work against people who have spent decades studying this problem. If he succeeds, he will be the youngest person to solve an open problem in modern mathematics history. If he fails, the entire world will watch him fall apart. His phone buzzes. Dr. Okonkwo. You can say no. No one will think less of you. His thumbs hover over the keyboard. Then he types back. Will Dr. Whitfield have to apologize if I'm right? The response comes instantly, in front of everyone. Elijah takes a breath, walks back onto the stage. Yes, ma'am, I'll do it. The crowd roars. But Elijah is not looking at them. He is looking at Whitfield. And Whitfield is looking back. 14 hours. That is how long Elijah has to prepare for the most important presentation of his life. 7 p.m. Community Math Center, Roxbury. Dr. Okonkwo sits across from Elijah at a scratched-up table. Between them, his notebook lies open. She is not being gentle tonight. There is no time for gentle. What if they ask about non-Hausdorff topologies? Elijah blinks. I don't know what that means. Then we learn it. Right now. She pulls out a textbook. They have 12 hours to fill the gaps in Elijah's knowledge. 12 hours to prepare him for questions from people who have spent lifetimes studying mathematics. 8:30 p.m. Video call on a borrowed laptop. Dr. Brooks from Harvard appears on screen. Behind him, shelves full of mathematics texts. His office at midnight looks the same as most people's offices at noon. He does not sleep much. Elijah, they're going to test whether you understand or whether you memorized. Know the difference. For the next hour, Brooks runs Socratic questioning, not giving answers, forcing Elijah to find them himself. It is brutal. It is necessary. Explain the periodicity constraint in 3 different ways. Elijah stumbles on the second explanation. Recovers. Finds his footing. By the third explanation, his voice is steady. Good, Brooks says. That's how you know you understand something, when you can teach it differently each time. 9 p.m. Elijah's kitchen table. His grandmother sets down a plate, macaroni and cheese, his favorite, made the way she has made it since he was old enough to sit in a high chair. Baby, why are you doing this? You already showed them you're smart. Elijah pushes the food around his plate. He is not hungry. His stomach has been in knots since this afternoon. Because Dr. Whitfield said I don't belong there, Grandma. And if I don't finish this, he'll always be right. She reaches across the table, takes his hand. Her fingers are rough from years of sorting mail, lifting packages, working jobs that destroyed her back so her grandson could have a chance at something better. Then let's make sure he's wrong. She kisses his forehead, goes to make coffee. It is going to be a long night for both of them. 9:45 p.m. The phone rings. Unknown number. Elijah almost does not answer, but something makes him pick up. Is this Elijah Brooks? A woman's voice, nervous, speaking quietly like she does not want to be overheard. Yes? My name is Dr. Rachel Kim. I'm a postdoc at Whitfield's lab at MIT. I just want to say what you did today was incredible. Elijah waits. There is more coming. He can hear it in her voice. Lawrence, Dr. Whitfield, he's been making calls all evening, trying to find errors in your proof, calling in favors, contacting people in Europe and Asia. Did he find any errors? A long pause. No, that's why he's panicking. Just be ready tomorrow. He's going to try to break you. The line goes dead. Elijah stares at the phone. His hands shake. 10:30 p.m. Standing in front of the bathroom mirror, he is practicing his presentation, trying to keep his voice from cracking. Every time he reaches the third slide, his hands start to tremble. He tries again, and again, and again. Dr. Okonkwo's face appears in the video call window on his laptop balanced on the sink. You know what the difference is between you and those other kids at the symposium? They're smarter than me. No, her voice is firm. They've been told they're smart their whole lives. They've had tutors and private schools and parents who could hire experts. You had to prove it every single day. That's your advantage, Elijah. You don't doubt the math. You doubt yourself. Tomorrow, trust the math. 11 p.m. Elijah lies in bed, phone glowing in the dark. He should sleep. He knows he should sleep. Instead, he scrolls through the live stream comments. Most are supportive. People were cheering for him. People who see themselves in him. But there are others, probably cheated. No way a 10-year-old solved this. Someone must have helped him. Whitfield would never miss something a kid caught. Each comment is a small knife. By the time he puts the phone down, he is bleeding from 1,000 cuts. What if they are right? What if he made a mistake? What if he just got lucky yesterday and tomorrow they will see through him? 6 a.m. Elijah gives up on sleep. He sits at the kitchen table, checking his notes one more time. His grandmother finds him there when she wakes up. She does not say anything, just makes him breakfast, sits with him in the quiet morning light. 7 a.m. Boston Convention Center. News crews everywhere. Satellite trucks lined up outside. This is not just a mathematics symposium anymore. This is a story. Underdog kid versus the establishment. David versus Goliath. The media loves this. Security has to escort Elijah through the crowd. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions. A white woman in a blue blazer shoves a microphone in his face. Elijah! Did anyone help you with your proof? Your parents? A teacher? The question lands like a slap. The implication is clear. She is asking if it is really his work. Dr. Okonkwo steps between them. His work is his own. Excuse us. She guides Elijah inside, her hand firm on his shoulder. 8 a.m. Backstage. Green room. Other presenters are here. PhD candidates, postdocs, people in their 20s and 30s with degrees from Cambridge and Oxford and the Sorbonne. They look at Elijah the way you might look at a lost puppy. Polite, condescending. A white man, maybe 28, smiles at him. Hey, you're the kid from yesterday. That was really cute. My little sister loves math too. Cute. Not brilliant. Not impressive. Cute. 8:30 a.m. Judge's briefing. Dr. Park explains the rules. 20-minute presentation. 40 minutes of question and answer. Any judge can interrupt at any time with questions. The panel has expanded. 12 judges now instead of 5. Several flown in overnight from other universities. Princeton, Berkeley, Cambridge, and England. These are not people who flew across an ocean for something cute. Whitfield is still on the panel. Conflict of interest? Yes. But he is one of the world's leading experts on the Hartwell conjecture. His presence is unavoidable. 8:45 a.m. Hallway outside the green room. Elijah turns a corner and nearly walks into Whitfield. They stand there, just the two of them, no cameras, no audience. Elijah. Whitfield's voice is different here, quieter, almost gentle. Last chance. I spoke with colleagues overnight. Even if your proof is correct, you're going to be asked questions you cannot possibly answer. This isn't about math anymore. It's about optics. He leans closer. You'll be humiliated today. Not embarrassed like yesterday. Destroyed. For a 10-year-old, that means you'll be the kid who tried instead of the kid who succeeded. Think about what that will feel like. Elijah's throat is tight. Worse than yesterday? Yesterday was nothing. Today, 600 experts will pick apart every word you say, every assumption you made, every logical leap. They will find the weakest point in your argument, and they will hammer it until it breaks, or until you break, whichever comes first. He straightens his tie. I'm giving you an out, son. Take it. Elijah watches him walk away. His phone buzzes. Dr. Okonkwo. I'm scared. The response comes instantly. Good. Fear means it matters. Now go show them why. 8:55 a.m. Behind the stage curtain. Elijah can hear them taking their seats. 800 people. The scrape of chairs, the murmur of voices. Somewhere in that crowd are people who want him to succeed, but also people who want him to fail, who need him to fail. Because if he is right, it means they have to rethink everything they thought they knew about who gets to be brilliant. 9 a.m. The doors close. Dr. Park's voice echoes through the sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, our first presenter this morning is Elijah Brooks. This is it. No more preparation. No more second chances. Elijah steps onto the stage. The lights are brighter than yesterday, hotter. Elijah can barely see past the first few rows. Elijah, the floor is yours. He steps to the podium, takes a breath, begins. The first 5 minutes go smoothly. He explains the Hartwell conjecture's history, how it stumped mathematicians for nearly 40 years, how he approached it differently by thinking about tiling patterns instead of graphs. The judges take notes. No interruptions yet. At the 6-minute mark, Whitfield raises his hand. Point of clarification. You state the original conjecture is ill-posed. Can you define that term? Elijah has prepared for this. It means the question doesn't have enough constraints to guarantee a unique answer. I know what it means. Whitfield's voice is patient, like a teacher correcting a slow student. What I'm asking is, do you know what it means formally? In the context of Hadamard's criteria for well-posed problems? Elijah's mind goes blank. I don't know what Hadamard's criteria are. Murmurs ripple through the audience. You see, everyone, this is the issue with prodigies. Pattern recognition is extraordinary, but without foundational knowledge, we cannot distinguish between insight and accident. Dr. Ruiz leans forward. Lawrence, he's 10. Hadamard is graduate level. Mathematics has no age limit. Either the proof stands on its own or it doesn't. I'm simply ensuring rigor. Whitfield pulls out a document, places it on the desk with a soft thud that feels loud in the silent room. I'd also like to submit that overnight, I contacted Dr. Yuki Tanaka at Kyoto University, a specialist in infinite graph theory. I asked him to review Elijah's proof. The screen behind Elijah flickers to life. An email. Whitfield San, regarding the Brooks proof, line 127 assumes bipartite structure holds under infinite extension. This is unproven for non-periodic base cases. Without this, the periodicity lemma fails. The proof is incomplete. Tanaka. The room goes silent. Dr. Brooks speaks carefully. Lawrence, you sent Elijah's proof to an external reviewer without permission? I sent a potential solution to an unsolved problem to a colleague. That's standard peer review. Dr. Park turns to Elijah. Do you understand the objection? Elijah's mouth is dry. He's saying I skipped a step? Not skipped, assumed. Whitfield walks toward the board. You assumed something that requires proof. Your argument is circular. You used your conclusion to prove your conclusion. In mathematics, circular reasoning is death. Elijah stares at the screen, line 127, his own handwriting projected 10 feet high. He thought he had checked everything. In Roxbury, Dr. Okonkwo grips the armrests. Her knuckles turn white. On stage, Elijah's hands start to shake. Elijah's voice comes out steadier than he feels. Can I see the line he's talking about? They project his notebook. Page 8, line 127. His own handwriting fills the screen. He reads it once, twice, his mind racing through logic he built 4 months ago. The silence stretches. 10 seconds. 20. Then Elijah looks up. Dr. Tanaka is right. That line is wrong. The audience gasps. In Roxbury, someone starts crying. Whitfield tries not to smile. Well, there we have it. But he's only right because he's reading it wrong. The room freezes. Line 127 says bipartite structure holds under infinite extension. Dr. Tanaka thinks I'm claiming it holds for all infinite extensions. That would be circular. Elijah walks to the board, picks up the stylus with shaking hands. But line 119 already defines I'm only talking about periodic extensions. The bipartite property doesn't need separate proof. It's inherited from the periodicity constraint. Dr. Brooks checks the notebook. He's right. Line 119 limits the domain. Tanaka's objection doesn't apply. Whitfield doesn't back down. That's semantic at best. The notation is ambiguous. The notation is clear if you read the proof in order, Dr. Ruiz says. But the damage is done. The audience murmurs. Live stream comments flood with doubt. Whitfield presses forward. Elijah, let me ask directly. Did you write this proof yourself or did someone help you? The accusation hangs in the air. I wrote every word myself. In 6 months. Yes, sir. During lunch period. Yes, sir. Whitfield turns to the panel. I find it extraordinarily difficult to believe that a 10-year-old child with no formal training independently developed a proof that eluded professional mathematicians for nearly 40 years. He doesn't say you cheated, but everyone hears it anyway. Dr. Whitfield, are you formally challenging the authenticity of this work? Dr. Park asks carefully. I'm suggesting we need verification. Give Elijah a related problem right now to demonstrate his process. The trap closes. Refuse and look guilty. Accept and fail. Discredit the proof. In Roxbury, Dr. Okonkwo whispers to the screen. Don't do it, baby. On stage, Elijah's voice is barely audible. Okay. Whitfield walks to the board, draws a Mobius strip. If we represent this topologically as a graph, how many colors do we need so no adjacent regions share a color? It's a trick question. Mobius strips break normal coloring rules. Elijah stares. 15 seconds pass. Can I ask a clarifying question? Of course. Are you asking about a Mobius strip as a physical object or as a graph embedded in three-dimensional space? Whitfield blinks. As a physical object. Then the answer is 3 colors. But that's not graph theory. That's topology. You're testing if I know the difference. Elijah draws a simple diagram with shaking hands. If you want a graph theory problem on a Mobius strip, you need to define an embedding. Different embeddings give different chromatic numbers. Your question is ambiguous. Silence. Dr. Brooks laughs quietly. He just did it again. Whitfield's face reddens. That's a technicality. No, Lawrence, that's rigor, which is what you claim to be testing. Dr. Ruiz's voice is sharp. But then something breaks inside Elijah. His voice cracks. Tears start. Why are you doing this? I just wanted to show my work. I didn't mean to. He stops, wipes his eyes. The whole room sees it now. Not a prodigy, just a 10-year-old kid, exhausted, overwhelmed, breaking. In Roxbury, Dr. Okonkwo stands. Her voice shakes with anger. Turn it off. Turn the stream off. But Miss Okonkwo, I said turn it off. I'm not letting these children watch them break him. The 40 kids in that room have seen this before. To their parents, their siblings, themselves. Brilliance crushed under the weight of people who decide you don't belong. Back in the auditorium, Elijah looks at Whitfield. His voice is small. Can I finish my presentation? Please? I don't think. Dr. Brooks stands. His voice fills the room. Lawrence, let the boy finish. It's not a request. Elijah wipes his face with his sleeve, takes a breath that shakes on the way in. Okay, let me finish. For the next 10 minutes, the room is completely silent. Elijah walks through his proof, step by step, not defending now, teaching. His voice grows steadier with each slide. This is his ground. This is where he knows he's right. He draws diagrams on the board, explains how periodic tilings create patterns that repeat infinitely, shows how the 4-color constraint holds when you limit the problem correctly. Every judge leans forward. Even Whitfield cannot look away. At minute 14, Dr. Brooks raises his hand. Not hostile, genuinely curious. Elijah, your periodicity constraint. Did you derive it from Hartwell's original paper, or did you develop it independently? I didn't read his paper until after I had the idea, sir. But then I saw he'd been thinking about similar cases, so I used his framework. Is that okay? Brooks smiles. A real smile. That's not okay, son. That's brilliant. You independently reinvented and then extended 40 years of research. Elijah nods, keeps going. At minute 18, he reaches his conclusion. So the original Hartwell conjecture, as stated, is unanswerable. The question is too broad, but with the periodicity constraint added, the answer is yes. 4 colors always work, and the proof is constructive, meaning I can show you how to do the coloring for any periodic graph. He pauses, looks directly at Whitfield. Would anyone like me to demonstrate a specific example? The challenge is clear, quiet, but unmistakable. Whitfield opens his mouth, closes it. Dr. Ruiz speaks instead. Yes. Can you demonstrate one of the classic unsolved cases? She pulls up an image. A complex periodic graph that has stumped researchers for decades. Dozens of nodes, hundreds of possible connections. It has appeared in textbooks as an example of why the Hartwell conjecture might be unsolvable. This one, she says. Elijah walks to the board, picks up the stylus. His hand steadies. For the next 3 minutes, he colors the graph in real time. Blue here, red there, yellow, green. He explains each choice as he makes it. The logic is clear, simple enough that anyone can follow, complex enough that it's obviously not guesswork. The audience watches in complete silence. On the live stream, 50,000 people hold their breath. He steps back. 4 colors, no adjacent regions share a color. The pattern repeats infinitely. The graph is colored, correctly, completely. Dr. Ruiz checks it, traces the edges with her finger, looks for errors, finds none. Does anyone see a mistake? She asks the panel. Silence. Judges check, recheck. Dr. Brooks speaks quietly. No errors. The solution is valid. The room explodes. Standing ovation. People on their feet, cheering. Some were crying. But Elijah is not done. He turns to face Whitfield. His voice is still quiet, but everyone hears it. Dr. Whitfield, can I ask you a question now? Whitfield's jaw tightens. What? Yesterday you said mathematics is a meritocracy, that the numbers don't care about my background, just my preparation. I said that, yes. So if the numbers don't care, why did you? Pin drops silence. Elijah's voice doesn't rise. Doesn't need to. You told me I didn't belong before I said a word. You tested me on problems that had nothing to do with my proof. You sent my work to someone else to find errors. You asked if someone helped me write it. His eyes are still wet, but his voice is steady. You did all that because you decided who I was before you looked at my math. So I don't think mathematics is a meritocracy. I think you don't want it to be. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. In Roxbury, the community center is completely silent. 40 kids and 20 adults frozen, staring at the screen. Elijah Brooks, age 10, just named the thing everyone knew but nobody said. Whitfield stands. His chair scrapes loud in the silence. You're out of line. Dr. Brooks stands too. His voice rings through the auditorium. No, Lawrence, he's exactly on line. You've spent this entire symposium trying to prove Elijah didn't belong. He just proved you don't believe in the meritocracy you built your career on. Dr. Ruiz stands. Then another judge. Then another. The proof is valid, Ruiz says. The solution is correct, and the way this child has been treated in the last 24 hours is a disgrace to this institution. Dr. Park looks at Whitfield. Dr. Whitfield, as symposium founder, you have a responsibility here. Everyone waits. 800 people in the auditorium, 50,000 on the stream. news cameras recording every second. If Whitfield refuses to acknowledge Elijah now, his career ends in public disgrace. If he acknowledges him, his ego dies. The silence stretches. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Whitfield's voice comes out barely above a whisper. Your proof is correct. Elijah doesn't move. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. It's not cruelty. It's a necessity. The room needs to hear this. The world needs to hear this. Whitfield's face cycles through emotions, anger, humiliation, something that might be shame. Each word comes out like he's pulling his own teeth. Your proof is correct. You solved the conjecture. I was wrong. The room explodes. Standing ovation, thunderous applause. People are shouting. In Roxbury, the community center erupts. Kids screaming, jumping, crying. Dr. Okonkwo covers her face with both hands. Tears stream between her fingers. That's my student, she sobs. That's my student! On stage, Elijah stands in the noise, tears running down his face, not moving, like he can't quite believe it's real. The status flip is complete. Whitfield is no longer the authority. Elijah is no longer the outsider. The entire power structure has inverted in front of the world. But then Elijah does something nobody expects. He walks toward Whitfield, slowly. The crowd quiets, watching. He stops in front of the man who tried to destroy him, extends his hand. Dr. Whitfield, thank you for the symposium. Without this forum, I wouldn't have had a place to share this. Whitfield stares at the offered hand. Cameras flash. This moment will be on the front page of every science journal in the world. He has no choice. He takes Elijah's hand. They shake. The photograph captures it perfectly. The renowned professor and the 10-year-old who beat him. The old guard and the new. The moment everything changed. Later, people will ask Elijah why he thanked the man who humiliated him. His answer will be simple. Because the math was bigger than both of us. And I wanted him to remember that. In that handshake, in that moment of grace, Elijah Brooks becomes more than just a mathematician who solved an impossible problem. He becomes the person who proved that brilliance doesn't ask permission. It just is. 30 minutes later, backstage. Elijah is surrounded by reporters, professors, people wanting photos. His face hurts from smiling. Dr. Park approaches with an envelope. Elijah, there's something you should know. She opens it. Inside, a letter. Inside, a official symposium letterhead. She reads aloud. Dear Symposium Committee, I am writing to recommend a student for this year's Emerging Minds Award. His name is Elijah Brooks. She stops. This was written last week, before your presentation. Who wrote it? Dr. Park turns the letter around, shows the signature. Dr. Lawrence Whitfield. Everyone around them goes silent. Dr. Brooks reads the date. 3 days before the symposium, after he reviewed your initial submission. The twist lands like a punch. Whitfield knew. He knew the proof was correct before any of this started. Before the humiliation. Before the dismissive handwave. Before everything. Dr. Okonkwo arrives from Roxbury. Reads the letter. So he tried to destroy you to save his reputation. Where is he? Elijah asks. They find Whitfield in a side hallway, alone, packing his briefcase. Elijah approaches. Whitfield doesn't look up. I suppose you want an apology. I want to know why you wrote that letter. Whitfield stops. Long pause. Then he looks at Elijah. Because when I read your proof, it reminded me why I fell in love with mathematics. Before egos, before politics, just the beauty of a logical argument. His voice drops. Then I saw you on that stage. Everyone is looking at me. And I got scared. Scared that if you were right, I'd wasted 40 years chasing something a child figured out in 6 months. Scared of what people would think. So I tried to make you smaller. His hands shake. I'm sorry. It's not a Hollywood redemption. It's messy. Human. I forgive you, Elijah says. Whitfield looks surprised. Why? Because I still want to learn from you. If you'll teach me. And that's the moment Elijah Brooks becomes not just a mathematician, but a great one. Because great mathematicians know math is bigger than ego. Always. 1 week later, headlines everywhere. Boston Globe, New York Times, Nature, Science. The Guardian in London. 10-year-old solves 40-year-old mathematical conjectures. Elijah appears on Good Morning America. MIT offers him library access. 3 universities offer future full scholarships. The Roxbury Community Math Center receives $2 million in donations. Dr. Whitfield quietly makes a substantial personal contribution. But the moment that matters most happens back at Booker T. Washington Elementary. Elijah stands in front of his 4th grade classroom. Mostly kids of color. Mostly from families like his. Kids who have been told in 1,000 small ways that brilliance is not for them. Miss Johnson asked me to talk about what happened. I don't really know what to say, except I'm the same person I was 2 weeks ago. I just had a question and I kept asking it until I found an answer. A boy raises his hand. But you're a genius. No, I just like math, and I had a teacher who believed I could do it. He looks at the back of the room. Dr. Okonkwo stands there smiling. The only difference between me and you is I got to try. So my question is, what do you want to try? The classroom erupts, hands shooting up, voices calling out dreams they had been too scared to say out loud. 3 months later, 2 more students from Booker T. Washington qualify for the National Math Olympiad. 5 students from the Roxbury Community Math Center win state competitions. Applications to STEM programs from underrepresented students in Boston increase by 340%. Not because of Elijah, because of what Elijah showed was possible. Elijah Brooks did not just solve a mathematical conjecture. He solved a question we should have been asking all along. How much brilliance are we missing because we decide who belongs before they get a chance to prove it? Sometimes the most important proof is not on paper. It is proving that the only limits that matter are the ones we refuse to accept. Have you ever been counted out before you got counted? Tell us your story in the comments below. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. And subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more stories of people who proved the world wrong. For Elijah Brooks, for Dr. Okonkwo, for every kid who was told they don't belong. This is for you.